the Knesset just passed a bill, that's the legislator of Israel, banning the use of reasonableness as a legal standard for striking down a law. Essentially, what the current situation was that the High Court could strike down any law it considered not to be reasonable. Okay? And it looks like that will no longer be permitted. However, that is not really what is happening right here. Okay? The main issue, believe it or not, is the drafting of yeshiva students into the army. Now, the court has insisted that yeshiva students should be drafted, specifically Haredim, ultra-Orthodox ones, okay? Regardless of what laws are passed by the Knesset. The Haredi parties, as would be expected, were totally opposed to it, and this is their formula for passing that law. Okay, the law has not yet been passed, but it is on its way. Okay, in terms of other issues, okay, and the nature of this government, in terms of women's issues, homosexuality will not be criminalized or even stigmatized. Sex change operations probably or almost certainly will be banned. Schools will not teach same-sex couples as being a proper alternative. They will probably teach that the traditional family of a male father and a female mother, okay, as the ideal arrangement and the typical arrangement. Abortion on demand will still be permitted, but I should say they will probably at some point require some sort of meeting with a social worker to discuss it before it actually happens, even though the social worker would not have the power to stop a woman from having an abortion. But things like the gay rights parade will not be held in places where there is significant opposition to it, like in Jerusalem. Okay? The next issue would be the one of the settlers and the settlements. Okay? And they've had a lot of run-ins with the authorities and especially the courts over this. What it probably means is that the settlers will be able to physically harass the Arab population and set up wildcat settlements. Okay, in terms of image, and this is the important or perhaps the overwhelming issue, the image of the government and its mentality up until now, from the time of the start of the state until now, it's basically been that of a pickup bar. That's the mentality. That's the image. Okay? It will now be something like a conservative 1950s synagogue where you have the rabbi, you have even including the Orthodox rabbis, okay? But nevertheless, the congregation still does what they feel like. Okay? Now, there's been a lot of talk about setting up a dictatorship by Netanyahu. That is certainly not going to happen. Okay? By no means is there any sentiment, even within the Likud party, to allow him to rule by decree. Okay? What will happen is that the ruling coalition, half of which is Orthodox, will decide what the laws are going to be, and those will be the laws. Okay, the people to watch would be Yariv Levin, who's from the Likud party. He's the, I think, Minister of Justice. He's one of the architects of the judicial reform. Okay, and Simcha Rothman, a religious nationalist. So those seem to be the two rising stars as a result of that. I think they're both actually lawyers. In terms of a civil war, it's unlikely, okay? When you're talking about the political left, well, there are a lot of people there who probably would prefer to die with their boots on than live with the current situation. But they're not going to be numerous enough to actually take up arms. In terms of a general war with the Arabs, I don't know how much this is going to affect it. We may be headed for a general war with Syria and the Arabs in any case. And there may be the liquidation of the Arab enclave in Gaza, as well as not a formal expulsion, but a situation which results in a lot of the local Arabs leaving. That is quite possible. The underlying issue is that the courts in Israel, certain and other places too, but certainly in Israel, okay, are basically dysfunctional. They're truthless institutions, predatory, generally incompetent, and they have offended a lot of people. And there are people, they are wise to them. So most likely there will be other reforms of this nature. Already Levine has floated the idea of cracking down on the police, bugging people's telephones, and secretly entering their computers. Most likely that a stop will be put to that. So we'll just have to wait and see and hope for the best. Shalom.